You know what that means. It's showtime, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'll be your host, Brent Thomas, and hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Happy day before the night before Christmas. Happy day before Christmas Eve, however this works out. Hope you guys are all ready for the holidays if you celebrate or however you celebrate. And it's my sincere pleasure always to be here doing the shows with you. This has really become an incredible community, and I really can't take any credit for that, but it's thanks to all of you guys. I appreciate it a bunch. But, oh, really? Huh. I got the, I might as well bring you up to speed on what's going on right now, but I got the detectors out, and the pyramid, the yes/no detector just said no. So I guess that whoever that is not ready for the holidays, but it's okay. But anyway, I guess they're chiming in already. But that's kind of unveiling part of our plan tonight. Again, is to do some passive ghost detecting as we do the show. We always do it in the form of the ghost radar, but I also have the yes/no detector, which is that black pyramid with the green and, well, it's just blue top on it now, but one half is green, one half is red. The side towards me is actually the red side, or the no side, and the side away from me on your screen, even though it's opposite in real life, would be the yes side, and that's the green side. And next to that, of course, is the EMF detector, the K2, which is a pretty basic detector, and they're pretty reasonable. I wouldn't stake my life on a K2, but certainly, again, with any tools of the paranormal, you want to throw a few lines in the water. You don't want to rely on one thing. And so that's just another thing in the water that may detect anomalies. Also, the cat ball is on the table there. If that goes off, we should be able to see that. And the flashlight and the REM pod. So these are all very passive detectors. And if something happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not, we're not actively researching. However, I will tell you this: in my last forays doing paranormal investigating with Charles, one thing we notice is that sometimes when you set this stuff up and you direct question, a lot of times you don't get a lot of immediate answers. Sometimes you don't get any answers. But what we did notice is to have this stuff set up and just let it run and then just start having a dialogue. Charles and I will start dialoguing together, and sooner or later things will start popping off as if these disembodied spirits or presences, which we believe they are, start to chime in their own way. And so you got to kind of take into account what you're talking about, see what they're starting to cue off of, and that maybe can help you aim your investigative efforts. So it'll just be over there running, and I'll keep it on screen as much as I can during the course of the shows. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool and fun and interesting, and it'll just be something extra on the screen. Again, don't let this kind of stuff weird you out or freak you out. I think, honestly, here's the thing. I think some people get really unnerved by the idea of investigation, but I think if suddenly we all had perfect vision and we could see absolutely clearly without obstruction, we could see everything around us on every plane of existence, we would probably be collectively pooping ourselves because we would be swimming in a world of spirit. I think we like to think that, well, maybe there's one or two stragglers that might happen through, but I think in reality, they're always there. They're always around us. I don't think they're always aware of us, and I certainly don't think we're always aware of them, clearly, but there's no doubt that whatever histories have been happening a lot longer than we've been here, and there's layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of the past, or maybe even other dimensional realities or vibrational realities, frequencies, whatever have you. So those things are always around us. They're not just kind of here and kind of not. So the fact that these things go off at all, I think is kind of cool. But I don't think it's personally, for the most part, I don't think it's any more creepy or weird than just living your life as you normally do, because we just can't see what's around us. It doesn't mean it's not there. I think these things are always there, whatever they are. So, and you fill in the blank for what that means. But anyway, that's my personal opinions. But we're gonna hit the ground running here tonight. We have the last show before the holiday, so happy holidays to everybody. Again, I hope you have a wonderful holiday set up ahead of you, where you're gonna get together with the loved ones, or at least with people you love, and they may not have to be family, but people that love you and you love them, and have some wonderful time together. I think the closeness is so important, especially right now with the state of the world. I think we all need to just kind of reconnect with our roots, and that's where these holidays, I think, are very valuable and important, and maybe remind us to focus on what's really important. And that is the goodwill of each other. I think that's, the takeaway. Can't take any of this stuff with us, It's all going to be, it was here before we got here, and it'll be here when we leave. So focus on the things that you do take with you, and that's your heart. Anyway, I'm not trying to be preachy, but a little bit of preaching's okay. I think we all preach. Karen says, I think most ghost things aren't creepy. Yeah, I don't think they are either. I think you're right, Karen. I think that some cases they're confused, wandering spirits, just not really sure what's going on. Some cases they are perhaps even time anomalies, where there's little windows of time that open and close, and we're the ghost to them, they're the ghost to us, kind of thing. There's just any number of possibilities as to what it is to be a spirit, or what did they perceive. But I think it's all the above, really. So, yeah, we're gonna get to the news, and we're gonna get to the Discord question of the week tonight, folks. Thank you, Chucky, for pulling that out of your hat again. I appreciate it. Tonight's kind of a seasonal question, but I'm gonna have to preface it a little bit, because we have all age audience here, and so I don't want to threaten anybody's realities here. But anyway, you'll know what I mean when we get to the question of the week. After that, we'll just keep chugging forward. We'll see what we get for responses on the, on these detectors as they're out. Maybe we'll get some kind of response. Maybe we'll get nothing. Again, there's no guarantees. I've had both experiences doing this on the show. Some shows you get some crazy acknowledgement and feedback, and other times they're just kind of sitting there doing their own thing, and they never really go off. Maybe a couple times. Again, the no detector piped off right away when I was talking about being ready for the holidays. So I guess someone's not done shopping. But that's not me. I'm okay. I'm good. All right. So I guess, is there anything else I'm missing? I'm trying to think here. The phone lines will be open if anybody wants to call in. 720-923 derp. 0500 is the numbers for fun here on the portal. If you call in, I'll do my best to keep an eye on it and get to you as soon as I can. Just be patient if you call in. I I love you all, but sometimes it's like phone. It's like, yeah, I appreciate that, call-ins happen, but I'm not going to dump the middle of an article to go rush to a phone call. So we'll get to it as soon as we can. So just be patient with me. There is a flow. There is a method to my madness, believe it or not. And may not seem like it, but trust me. Trust me, I know it's my madness. Anyway, yeah, I think that's it on the front end here. That's everything that we're going in. And we're going to go in and start with some news. So I don't know about you, but I got a hankering for some of the news. Let's see what we get newsed up on tonight. That's right. It's the most trusted news, folks. Said so right on your screen. So that's got to mean something, right? All right. We got some articles pulled up for your benefit as we try to make y'all as informed as I know how. And the first one up tonight is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. Again, please support this site. Please support every one of these sites that we use throughout the course of the shows. These sites are incredible. They work hard. And your visits equal their longevity because none of this stuff is free. All these, when you look at websites and stuff, just think about this. They cost money. It costs money to host a website. You got to pay for hosting. And if you have a lot of traffic, you've got to pay a lot more because you're paying for the actual traffic coming and going to your sites. And so every visit matters. And, go check them out. And help support what they're doing. All right, unexplained-mysteries.com brings us the first article tonight. And I don't know what the hell this is, but I saw it and I was like, ooh, that's kind of odd. I don't even know how long it is. Let me look. No, it's not too long. So it's an interesting article, but let's check it out. I don't know how somebody even saw something in this, but let's see. It says, mystery secret code found in Victorian dress has finally been cracked. So there's apparently a mysterious secret code that was somehow embedded in a dress, for a Victorian era dress, and they just cracked it now. So it says the cryptic and seemingly incomprehensible series of words had baffled cryptographers for years. When Sarah Rivers Cofield purchased a Victorian era silk dress in Maine 10 years ago, the last thing she expected to find was a crumpled up ball of papers stuffed inside a mysterious hidden pocket. Written on the pages were dozens of lines and of seemingly random words such as spring, wilderness, lining, one, reading, novice, and Calgary, Cuba, Ungard, confute, duck, fagin, which at a glance appeared to be little more than gibberish nonsense. After she shared the writing on her blog, online sleuths quickly determined that what she had found was some sort of secret message written on a code that none of them were able to decipher. The silk dress cryptogram, as it came to be known, was so difficult to crack, in fact, that it went on to gain quite a level of notoriety, and it was at one point considered one of the top 50 unsolved codes in the world. Eventually, though, computer analyst Wayne Chan managed to figure it out. Intriguingly, the code was actually something used by the United States Army in the Weather Bureau in the 19th century. What does the Weather Bureau need with codes? Let's get what number should we give to hurricane? Just tell them a hurricane's coming. In the 19th century, to communicate weather forecasts as cheaply as possible. The reason this was necessary was down to the cost per word of sending a telegram at the time. Chen even determined to the exact date of the codes, May 27th, 1888. Given the rather mundane nature of the messages and the fact that only a few government officials were likely to ever send or receive them, it is perhaps no surprise that this particular code was mostly forgotten. Exactly how these examples ended up in the secret pocket of a dress, however, remains a mystery. I don't know. I've heard of using Kleenex, but paper balls. I'm sorry, that was bad taste. But it's just me being stupid, as usual. I don't know. I don't know why it would be in the dress. That's very strange. I don't know. Where was the secret pocket though? I don't know. Looked like she could carry a lot of codes in the back end there. Is that whatever that is? And on the back of for those of you that are listening and not seeing, there's like that foofy, puffy parts of the clothes around the butt area and on these old dresses. And it's like she could carry a picnic basket in there, for God's sakes. I mean, there's a lot of area for luggage apparently, but I don't know where the secret pocket was or any more of the details. But there you go. It was just a weather code apparently. We got that going for us now. We didn't know that before today, but now we do. So I don't know. I don't know if that enriches your life or not, but it's just a minor service to the show. All right, let's get to the next one. And this is also from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this article is having to do with space and astronomy. This one's kind of a new one. I think this must be from the new whatever the hell it is, telescope that's out there. Maybe. Let's read what it says. From unexplained-mysteries.com, NASA publishes festive image of distant Christmas tree cluster. It does look like a big green mass of stars or cosmic gas or whatever. It's really kind of beautiful, really. I guess it looks like a tree. It's kind of triangular shaped. Just in time for the festive season, the image shows a cluster of young stars that happens to resemble a Christmas tree. Situated within our own galaxy, approximately 2,500 light years from the Earth, NGC 2264, also known as the Christmas tree cluster, is a cluster of young stars up to 5 million years old. According to NASA, the stars range in size from a tenth of the mass of the Sun to 7 times larger. The image is a composite created using data from NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory, the National Science Foundation WIYN 0.9 meter telescope, and the 2-micron all-sky survey. The blue and white points of the light are stars that give off X-rays. The green parts of the image are the gases of the nebula, and other background and foreground stars are also shown in white. The resulting composition resembles a Christmas tree with tinsel and baubles on its branches. Young stars like those in NGC 2264 are volatile and undergo strong flares in X-rays and other types of variations seen in different types of light, NASA wrote. Excuse me. The coordinated blinking variations shown in this animation, however, are artificial to emphasize location of the stars seen in X-rays, and highlight the similarity of this object to a Christmas tree. Well, there you go. So it's an animation. It's a facsimile of actual data that they've absorbed or collected, and it's cool, wonderful. I'm not going to show you the video though because, well, I think everybody's got their own tree anyway. So what's another tree? Very cool, very cool. All right. Bet you didn't know that before today. I didn't either. I was today old too. Let's get to the last. No, that was the last one. I got one more though. This one is actually going to be from Sasquatch Chronicles though. And this one is going to be in the news because by God, it's very newsy. But I found it actually kind of unnerving in a sense because I think I might have heard some of these sounds in the past. And I don't know if it means anything or not, but it's one thing to hear strange whistles and calls. Not necessarily like a whistle like, but more like a bird trilling sound. And it does sound very familiar to me, like I might have heard this in the past somewhere. However, some new trail cam footage apparently shows, so I guess this could be on Trail Cam Terrors, but apparently shows that, actually, why not? Let's do this. Trail Cam Terrors. All right, ladies and gentlemen, some new footage coming in from, and this you might have seen other places as well, but it's featured on Sasquatch Chronicles blog right now. And this is December 22nd, that strange bird call in the woods. Hear a bird chirping? It might actually be a mountain lion. The video below is a compilation of trail cam footage showing wild mountain lions or cougars making a chirping sound. This sound is believed to be a form of communication with other mountain lions in the area. So you always see these things, you think, oh, they must sound like roar or grr or whatever. You don't really think you'd hear a chirping of a sparrow when you look at one of these. But have a listen, have a look. We're going to play it now. These are cougar sounds from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. I think it's creepy. I think I've heard these things, at least some variation of them, but maybe it's because it sounds like other birds. I don't know. Be the judge though. Here you go. Is that not creepy? Does that not sound like evening to you, Digger Dog? Good to see you. Does that not sound like little birds? I mean, would you imagine it would be like an 80 to 100-pound cougar on the other side of that sound? It sounds like a little chirpy bird. But apparently that's a new sound. I don't know. It's new to me, at least. I don't know how long people have known or not known about this. But literally, I just found out about it when I saw this article. Nature never ceases to amaze me. Yeah, right, Miss Firejack. I'm here with you. I couldn't believe it. I was like, because I've heard sounds like that out in the woods before. Now, I'm not, a bird watcher or anything. I'm sure probably most likely what I heard was birds, but it sounded very similar to that. And it's like, God, what if I was really in close proximity to a mountain lion and didn't even know it? Cougars have 5 business ends. Well, I'm imagining you mean the 4 paws, the mouth. So that's 5, right? I'm not sure where you're going with this, Casey. It does make it scary when you think about it. all those bird sounds may have been mountain lions. Yeah, well, at least some of them. Some of them might have been mountain lions. I did hear that. I was outside Van Horn, Texas, Brent. Yeah, RJ, her windwalker, says he thinks he's heard it too. Now, again, I don't know if that's a close approximation of 100 other bird sounds, and maybe that's why they just blend in. But even in the night, that's when the ones that are sticking out to me are like the chirpy sounds like that, like I've heard at night. And I would have never thought cougar, ever, never. So I thought, God, that's frightening. So there you go. That's a trail cam terror for sure. I guess the terror's post event, because at the time, who would have known? I wouldn't have known. But there you go. Be careful in those woods, folks. We don't know a lot about what's going on out there. Paranormal Portal, D-holes whistle too. I'll bet they do. Mine more growls. No, I'm just kidding. I saw a TikTok, but it ends with a deer meal. Definitely disturbing, Batman. What did Batman say? Or is that? Are you talking to Batman on that? Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. But there you have it. They chirp, folks. They chirp. So be very careful. Again, I don't know. It doesn't sound like an aggressive sound. It does just sound like, hey, are you over there? I found some food. Are you hungry? You want to come over for a sandwich, kind of thing. But it still could be attached to a lot of claws and fur, and that's really unnerving. It is disturbing. Yeah, absolutely. I was actually walking around a graveyard in the winter and saw fresh tracks leading to a thick pine, but not leading away. I walked back to my truck calmly, but quick. Yeah, no doubt. Good call. If you see the tracks go in but not come out, that's a bad sign. That means whatever made those tracks is probably still there. Eesh. That's terribly, terribly unnerving. So there you go, folks. This has been a presentation of the Paranormal Portal News. Now you know. Maybe you're a little more informed than you were. But I tell you what, if you're going to spend time in the woods, spend a lot of time learning what the sounds of the woods are. Because you might have some squirrels in your yard in the city or whatever. You might have seen bear sounds or on TV or something. But there's a lot of weird sounds out there that, if you don't know what's making them, they can sound horrifying. Like if you've heard a cougar scream, like they can scream horribly, and it sounds absolutely frightening. And I'm not talking like a growl. I'm talking like this. It sounds like a woman screaming. It really does. Bobcats make horrifying sounds. I mean, there's so many things out there. Even fox make these strange sounds. I had a fox that I could hand feed, but I would hear it running up on the woods above, and it would make these weird yippy sounds that were very, very strange. And I could hear it run around, then run down. And I mean, I'm pretty sure it was the same animal, but maybe I was wrong. I don't know. I mean, there's coyotes there too. Coyotes are another thing. They make a lot of different noises. But get familiar with the natural sounds so that you can really understand when you're hearing something that really doesn't fit. Because I think that's the big giveaway. So this has been the news. Hope you feel like you got newsed. All right, let's get back to it. Yeah, maybe Misfire. Misfire says, so wouldn't these sounds be akin to the little chirping noises house cats make? Yeah, maybe. Like when they're looking at birds out the window. My cat does that. One of my cats does. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Just be careful. There's a lot of sounds out there that we just don't know because, I mean, that's not where we live. We don't live in the woods. And even if you live in the woods, you're living in a house in the woods. So you're not probably hearing a bunch of things that are going on out there. My cat Floyd says, hello. Oh, that's cute. Is it a Siamese? My cat Pikachu kind of makes a sound similar to that. But he always answers. If you say his name, he'll answer like, meh. Ah, Pikachu. Ah. And sometimes they're different sounds, but yeah. When one of his rival cats comes in the yard though, and he happens to be looking, he makes all kinds of weird sounds like like that. He's just focused out the window. His eyes are as big as saucers. He's like it's the weirdest sound. You wouldn't picture it coming from a cat, but just saying, they come from anywhere. All right, we're going to move to a segment that I love, and this is a once a week segment that we do here on the show, and this has everything to do with our Discord. God, man, I'm just all itchy. Not itchy like rashy, but just I feel dry everywhere. But this has to do with our Discord, and many of you are already well familiar with what I'm going to tell you. But if you want to join the Discord, I don't know if I can pin it. I don't know if I can. Maybe I can't, but I'll just put it in the chat. To join the Discord, https://discord.gg. Special thanks to K-Love, because of her, I can write the next part, which is Paranormal Portal, all one word. Portal. And that's how you can join the Discord, just by going and clicking that link or putting that in a browser. And if you don't already have a Discord username or something, make one up. It's really pretty easy to use. It's just a little different because it's not like every other program out there. It's kind of unique in a lot of ways, but once you just figure out how to do things, it's very, very easy to navigate Discord. It's just unusual at first because it's kind of its own thing. It's like a constant, always on message board with different communities. And no matter what show you like, there's probably a Discord attached to it somewhere out there. So if it's not the Paranormal Portal all by itself, then maybe you'll find other ones for other shows like Sasquatch Chronicles. Probably has a Discord community out there. Maybe not sanctioned by Sasquatch Chronicles, but could be a fan group or something out there, or any other number of online shows and sites. So check it out. You'll find lots of conversations just waiting to be had. So we're going to go to Discord and dive into this because it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for our Discord community to embrace as we jump into the questions of the week. All right. Welcome to the Discord question of the week, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, special thanks to Chucky Danger, who has been keeping this thing rolling. Now, I will say this is kind of a seasonal question. And we have listeners of all ages here. And I would just like to say that the topic is actually like Santa tonight. And there are some people that don't believe in Santa, just like there are some people that don't believe in Bigfoots or UFOs or ghosts. And there are many people that do. So don't let this discussion dishearten you. But you decide what's real and you grab onto that with all your heart. So, but we're going to have a discussion here tonight, and it's okay if people don't believe in something. That's just fine. So if you're one of the younger viewers and you're like, what? Santa's not real. Don't think like that. That's the kind of trick that's going to, make Santa skip your house. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how Santa does this stuff, but just believe, if you believe Santa's real in your heart, then I'm sure you're right. So hang on to that. All right. So the question of the week this week is, again, thank you, Chucky. Question of the week. There are many origin stories about where Santa comes from. Some say it's Odin in disguise, or maybe a hallucination of machine elves from eating a poisonous red and white mushroom. That's the Amanita muscaria. That the reindeer tend to eat. But the question remains, is Santa real? Is he the most well-known and yet rarest of cryptids? Merry Christmas, everyone. It's a great question because a lot of people have this question. Some people out there just don't know, is Santa real? Let's see what our community said. Eric the Purple Hobbit, yes. In the spirit of giving sense, yes. Santa is warm, friendly reminder of that we should care about each other and practice giving what we can of ourselves to others we come in contact with. Yeah, that's a great point. I think we need reminders like that, and certainly Santa's one of those reminders that we have to try to help each other out and give and make ourselves available to help other people where we can. Good point, Eric. Rosemary Chives says, I like this conversation. Also, Coca-Cola is responsible for the red-clothed modern Santa with their marketing. These are things I've heard. But I'm not going to play a link. But thank you, Rosemary. Appreciate that. And that's there if anybody wants to check out the meat and taters of that. John T says facts. Says, well, St. Nicholas was real as for the red-coated jolly man, I say spiritually, yes. As a kind of loving man, as a symbol of Christmas. As for reality is in the eye of the beholder. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, ZX81V2 says, Santa uniform is green, not red. Cheers, Coke. Yeah, there's a different origin stories. I mean, I've not seen him, so in all my years of looking, I've never caught Santa yet, but I'm still trying. I'm not sure what he wears. I like the red outfit, though. I think it looks good on him, from what I can tell. Looks like it works. It works. Maggie says, believe in the magic. Absolutely. The magic of Christmas is real. The joy and the laughter is real. And in my opinion, Santa is part of that Merry Christmas season's greetings and happy holidays. Very true. Yeah. I mean, it's become such a part of it, but I do know who was the first responder? Eric? Eric. What Chucky was talking about when he's talking about Odin was that I think one of the very first ideas of what Santa might be was Odin riding around on Sleipnir, and that was his many-hooved horse, and checking out the villages and bestowing blessings and gifts on the people, and that's it's very, very similar to what the Santa story is now. So maybe it is in some version of that. But very interesting. D Ocean comes in and says, I lean towards the mushroom shaman theory. It seems most likely. And then it kind of gathered into other meanings as it moved through the different cultures. Kind of like a rolling snowball. Everybody put their spin on this idea, and I think it's interesting that Krampus got deleted. Yeah, but Krampus is a horrible story. That's a terrible story. In some other cultures, Santa is more like a superhero, synchronized with various pantheon all-father figure. Could he be a tulpa of some sorts? Absolutely. In the end, Santa is what we make of him. Sure. He is the kind of the Christmas magic in a sense. Born of the Christmas magic, which is, again, means whatever you want it to mean. Karen Alberding says, yes, there's a very real Santa Claus, or was, and he's celebrated every year. St. Nicholas was a very real person. That is what I've been taught. Yeah, St. Niklaus. Yep. I'm not sure if it was Nicholas or Niklaus, but yeah, something like that. Rachel says, yes, Santa Claus is real. In the magic of the memories in the heart of children and gift givers, Santa manifests in those moments. And since the experiences are real, Santa Claus is real too. Very true. So if you get into the idea that belief in something makes it real, then yeah, absolutely. There is no argument. And it is a very subjective thing. Like Santa may be real to somebody, but like if I have a dragon that lives under my bed and I believe it's real and I believe it's there and I visit with it, I can know that that's real and nobody else knows it's real. Or maybe if I went and told people, I said, look, I got a dragon that lives under my bed. And they'd be like, oh, do you? Okay. I'll be like, yeah, I talk to him every night. He's really quite nice and lovely. And, he finds it very comfortable there. Oh, okay. Well, that person's probably going to walk away thinking, well, I'm an idiot. But it still doesn't take away the fact that for me, if I'm truly invested in this dragon being real, then there is a reality to it. And you could say that tulpa is a great idea for that, because, and the tulpa doesn't necessarily have to manifest to be a real tulpa. So could it become something just by that belief? Well, I think it could. I think that several hauntings have sprung up because of people's beliefs in them. Even when the hauntings are based on a history that has been disproven, there is still plenty of people experiencing the phenomena as if it was very real and very active and very much happening. And so, I mean, faith in something is incredibly powerful. And it really, I love the term realizing something, to realize, because in essence, when you realize something, you are making it real. And that is an incredible, powerful statement. David Zeismer comes in and says, I think it's a good way for everyone to get together and enjoy each other's company and to be able to give gifts and give thanks for each other. So in a sense, he is real because he brings everyone together. Yeah, that's a beautiful thought. Pineapple Tango comes in next, says, I feel like Santa embodies all the good things people are capable of and strive to be. If one in one archetype, but giving people the chance to be anonymous while doing good. Santa may not be a real person right now, but he was. And he lives in all of us, doing good, helping people, and loving others. Yeah, it's a beautiful thought. So is Santa real? Well, I believe there's a very real thing, real being that is Santa. I don't pretend. I don't pretend to know exactly what that is, but I'll tell you a quick story. And this is a very real experience I had, and it was when I was younger, because no matter what, every kid at a certain age is going to school, and you're getting all the other kids going, you believe in Santa? That's so stupid. It's just not real. And I was at the point where my beliefs were being challenged all the time. I had two older brothers. And they were constantly resetting my belief system. And I didn't want to look like an idiot, but I was also wrestling with the fact that I didn't want to give that up. I didn't want to not believe in Santa. And I was over at a friend's house, and, we were younger. I don't know how old I was anymore, but I was, we were small children. But he had a big, huge, like king-size bed. And so we were there, and we were talking about it. He was younger than me by about a year, I think a year. And we were talking about it. He goes, because I think he was starting to get the same things. And he was like, do you think Santa's real? And I was really kind of having my feelings crushed and didn't know what to say. Because I didn't want to break his dream, too, of it being real. So I was just laying there in bed. Now, the way his bed was laid out was there's a headboard, and above the headboard was a window. It's one of those slimline windows. It's not a full window, but it's a narrow window that's up higher on the wall that would shine into his room. And on the other side of that outside was a street light and from the neighbor's house. And that street light would shine through the curtains, which were very sheer, and shine onto the footboard of the bed, which is a wooden thing that came up. And was laying there, and suddenly, as I'm laying there, looking at this footboard, not really feeling sure what to say, because he looked up to me like a bigger brother, and here I was with this tough thing, like, is Santa real? And I want him to be, I really do, and I'm wrestling with it, and then suddenly, on the foot of the bed, and I kid you not, swear my hand to God, this is a true story, and this is absolutely the way it happened. I still can't explain it to this day, but maybe it was a tulpa of some kind. Maybe it was a manifestation of some kind, but I was laying there, and suddenly this little head popped up, and it looked like an elf head. The silhouette. It was like it was being blocked by the light coming in the window. And it's this little silhouette head, little pointy hat, little tassel on the end, and it kind of popped up and just sat there, unmoving, and was looking. And I was like, what the hell's that? I look up at the window. There's nothing in the windowsill. And I'm sitting there and I look down at the footboard and it's still there. That shadow is still there being cast from the light coming through the window. I'm like, no, I'm looking back. And I mean, this is like 8-year-old me or something like that, 9-year-old me. And I'm looking at this going, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, do you see that? And he goes, yeah, I see that. What is it? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, but it's like an elf head suddenly was appearing in the window as if he was looking in the room. And I'm like, I sat there and I didn't want it to end. But at the same time, I was like, I gotta know. So I got up on my knees and looked out the window, and there's nothing there. Just the street light outside. There's nothing that should be creating this silhouette of an elf's head on the footboard. And I looked down and looked over, and I'm stumped. But I just sat there in bed, and we both just stared at it until we both finally fell asleep. And I was like, oh God, it's a true story. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was, but it was like maybe some part of me was so desperate to hang on to that I just couldn't let it go. Maybe it was us both together wanting this to be real and feeling sad that it was kind of feeling like it was being taken away from us. But I don't know. But it went on and of course woke up the next morning and everything's normal. There's nothing outside again when I looked, but it was there, and it stayed there. And even though I got up and looked and sat down and then just stared at it and moved the curtains to see if that was doing anything, and then nothing was creating this, but it just appeared. So is that an incredible event? In the grand scheme of things, no, but in my mind, that was everything. That was huge. It was incredible. So I don't know. Make of that what you will. It's another one of those things that I carry with me that I've experienced, but I still don't know exactly what it means or what it was for, but yeah. Marcus says, I was a Santa, but I quit. Were you one of those mall Santas, Marcus? I think you'd be a great Santa. Yeah, so very cool. Yeah, that's the question of the week, and thank you to everybody that weighed in. I think there's definitely a spirit to this season, and some of it is religious, and some of it is just this amazing goodwill and caring that erupts out of people when you think of giving and helping and trying to be there and be better. And so maybe that's all part of what Santa is. I don't know. But I think Santa's real. So there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you, Chucky, for the question. And that's it. I'm going to get back to the rest of the show. Well, there we go. There you go. Question of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Question of the week. That was a good one, though. And it was very, very, I wouldn't have expected those kind of responses. So you guys did incredibly. Very, very impressive. All right. So we're going to go to an article that we've been kind of working through last night or two. I guess it was just Sheldon and I that went through this, but I did read up to number 11, but I skipped 10. This is a thought catalog article, and this has to do with people that have had near-death experiences. And I love near-death experiences. I think they are so incredibly powerful and stand as what could be the best evidence ever of people witnessing what comes next in our existence, because it's the Great Wall. It's the Great Barrier that we just can't see through for sure. We get glimpses, we get ideas, but these people apparently took the journey and then came back and were able to share some of what they experienced. And I think it's incredible. And it's kind of where science falls down. And I know that science purists would say, no, we're learning, we're going to figure this out. But I don't think it's figure it outable. I don't think this is something that you figure out, because This is beyond our realm. This is beyond our reality. And it goes into the reality of all things. And we're talking consciousness. I don't think that's quantifiable. I don't think you can quantify consciousness in a calculation or reality and in some sort of algorithm, other than simulating a reality. But I think it's incredible stuff, and people are having experiences where they are dying, but they are still seeing and experiencing and having incredible things happen, and then they're coming back and telling these stories. So I love these stories, and I hope you guys can agree that I think these are profound, incredibly profound. Somebody poked fun at me on the last on the last podcast episode. It's like, oh, I wish I had a dime for every time Brent said profound. And yeah, I do use the word a lot, but how many things are there to explain the grand scale? How many words are there to explain the grand and colossal scale of the things that we discuss and the ramifications of them? I mean, how many words are there that can even come close? And I guess profound is kind of an ambiguous term in a large sense, but it's also enormous, and it means as much as the person is willing to attribute to it, I guess. So I thought that was funny, though. All right, so this was a Thought Catalog article, and this is men and women, 29 men and women who died and came back to life, share exactly what they saw. So great post. This is by Eric Redding, and it's from 2016. So let's get into this and see what number 10 is. So number 10 is I can't feel my heart. I was at my girlfriend at the time's parents' house and suddenly started feeling really queasy. Well, she and I headed into the kitchen so I could grab a glass of water, and we stood with me leaning back against the counter and her hugging me. She was saying I had gone incredibly pale, like almost white, and my lips were going purpley color, and she was really scared. I then say to her, I can't feel my heart. And I check my pulse. The next thing I know, I'm in this place. I can't describe it except as an absence of absolutely everything. There was a floor, but I couldn't see it. I was walking on nothing, through nothing, and surrounded by nothing. But I was there, and it was there. There were other people with me, discernible faces, clothes, and demeanors. I could see them, and they could see me, like properly see me, not just look at me, but actually see me. I could feel that they could. We were in a complete silence, just really calm and silent. And in the space of nothingness, and then this bright bluish white light erupted from the distance, and it called to us, silently beckoned us towards it. So we started walking. I don't know why. We just all felt compelled as a single entity to head towards this light. It was beautiful, really, really beautiful. I've never seen a light so pure and so beautiful since. I've never felt the calm so serene, and a strange happiness was flowing through me. I could feel myself smiling and feeling like all was all right within the world. Suddenly, everything being dragged backwards. Suddenly, I started being dragged backwards, as if a fishing hook had just grasped my intestines from behind and was pulling me. I felt intense pain, and there was a rushing sound. The light got more and more distant, as did the people, and there was what I can only describe as a blood-curdling scream fading in from behind me. As this got louder, and as soon as the light faded, I woke up. I was on the floor in my girlfriend's kitchen. Her mother, a nurse, had just performed CPR on me, as I had been actually full-on dead. No pulse, no breathing, for about a minute. I felt like I was in that space for an eternity. The scream was my girlfriend crying hysterically at the thought of me being dead. And I promptly threw up everywhere and felt instantly better. Even doctors at the hospital don't know what the hell happened to me. I was discharged after a few hours of tests with a clean bill of health, and I felt completely fine. What's even stranger is apparently when I said I can't feel my heart, I passed out and fell on my girlfriend, who couldn't support me, and I fell, hitting my head on the counter, smashing into some empty bottles on the floor. While I was out, I apparently just stayed still, but smiled until I stopped breathing. I was pale, and my head and hands were freezing cold to the touch, but the rest of me was still warm. What's even stranger than that is that her pet cats freaked the literal hell out when I was dead, and all ran out of the house howling into the night. One of them returned the next morning. The other two were found up a tree a few blocks away, meowing incessantly. That was by Orange_Kevin. Wow, that's a crazy thing. What the hell made him die? They didn't know? How does somebody just die and then just come back? Unbelievable. Wow. You got to wonder, did they get married? What happened? I mean, because that's one of those events that should kind of cement a relationship pretty solidly. If you die in front of someone you're in love with, you'd think that would anchor things a little bit. Anyway, then we're on number 12 then, because we did 11 last night. Number 12, I'm going to hell. Ruh-roh. Okay, not my story, but something my sister witnessed when she was a med student at a level 1 trauma facility. Guy comes in from an MVA, a motorcycle versus truck, and she says he was like, she said he was a Waffle House hash brown, sliced, diced, and chunked. The guy's able to talk at the beginning, drunk, cussing the nurses and docs, trying to help him. Not a nice guy. They end up intubating the guy to preserve the airway, and the guy's going downhill fast. He codes, but they manage to bring him back. Suddenly, the guy comes completely to, rips out his tubes, grabs my sister's hands, and lets out this breathy little scream. "Don't let me die. I'm going to hell. Please don't let me die." Well, this freaks out everyone, including my sister. The guy says he woke up in hell on fire and keeps begging someone to check his feet for burns. Nobody could believe he pulled out his tube and was talking. Despite everything they did, the guy still died. My sister said they were all freaked out about it for weeks. That was by Need to Nurse? ? Wow. That's a horrible thing, right? How would you like to be on that journey? It's like you've been a dick your whole life. And you know you're not a nice guy. But then that moment comes where it's like, guess what? There's your reward. Ugh. Now, I don't pretend to know that there is a hell or isn't a hell. I mean, it's up to you to come to your own conclusions. But, oof. Just be good, for goodness sakes. Jeez. Could you imagine? Just for a paltry few decades of life, you're a jerk, but then you're looking at an eternity of sucking. I just can't imagine. Ugh. Number 13 is Mother. Yeah, that's a living nightmare. You're right. Absolutely. Happy holidays to you, David. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Mother is number 13. Had a patient who had a long and difficult death from California of the everything. What the hell does that mean? Moaned, whimpered uncomfortably, no matter how much morphine we gave her. As the greenest member of the nursing team, I was assigned to spend as much time with her as possible, as we knew she was dying, and felt that she shouldn't be alone. She stopped whimpering suddenly, looked towards the bottom of the bed, lifted both arms up and smiled, sat halfway up and said, "Mother," and collapsed back dead. Wow. That's a real common phenomenon as well as people that are right on the edge. They oftentimes do have visions of their loved ones coming to get them. I think that's cool. I wish everybody had that benefit. I think could make the transition a lot more peaceful, and especially for the living too. To know that Grandpa came and got Grandma, and they went together. It's like, wow, how beautiful is that? So I think that's a beautiful story. Number 14, a new type of consciousness. This is the first time I've ever written this out or shared this story with people other than a psychiatrist or my family. 4 years ago, almost to the day, I was pronounced clinically dead for 2 minutes after undergoing cardiac arrest, which subsequently was caused from a seizure. Well, I was 20 at the time, and I remember it was incredibly hot that evening. Me, my boyfriend, my best friend, and a few other kids I went to high school with were all going to see a local band play at Newton, Pennsylvania. It was around 6 in the evening, and at this time, I only had an espresso all day. No food, no water. We decided to smoke a blunt while we were waiting for the band to set up, and all was good. It was my last get-together with my friends before I left for school. About a half hour later, after a few cigarettes, we decided to smoke some more. The band was almost ready to start playing. I was feeling really, really good. By this time, I had totally forgotten that my body was deprived of food and water for the entirety of this incredible hot day in August. I was sweating bullets. 10 minutes later, the band is ready to go on. My boyfriend brings out a Monster Energy drink from his bag, and my breath starts to feel a little shallow. I grab to get a hold of the drink, but it slips from my fingers and drops to the ground. And this is where things start to go awry. I looked at my hand in confusion, then at my best friend who was looking at me with a strange face. "Are you okay?" I thought I had answered, I'm not sure, but I guess the response happened in my head. Not 15 seconds later, I felt the extreme urge to sit down right where I was. I hit the ground hard, landing flat on my butt, but barely feel it. I hear someone in the background go, "Whoa there," but my body is failing me, and I can no longer react to the outside stimulus. I don't remember much of what happened to me in physical sense after that. My best friend told me how things unfolded after that. She was trying to hold me up to get me over to the EMT. The safety guys, I guess, didn't notice that there was a problem, so essentially, my friend's screams for help was useless. A big guy noticed the severity of the situation, slung me over his back, and pushed through the crowd to get me the help. Apparently, I wasn't breathing, my body had gone stiff, and my lips and fingertips were turning blue. I was having a seizure. I was put in an ambulance. During the ride, I underwent cardiac arrest, and after 2 minutes of using CPR and defibrillator, my pulse returned, followed by my breathing. I regained full consciousness as I was entering the hospital. While all of this was happening, my mind was somewhere else. As soon as my body hit the ground, I felt detached from it. I could hear everything going on around me, but I felt like my viewpoint was from miles away. The feelings themselves are hard to explain. It was peaceful, almost dreamy. I felt as if I was passing into a new stream of consciousness, and I also saw myself. It seems like my viewpoint was in God mode or something similar. I watched my body get carried out to the crowd, put on a stretcher, and loaded into the ambulance. I suppose at that point, when my heart stopped beating completely, was when things got even more wacky. I couldn't see myself anymore. I couldn't see anything. It wasn't black. It wasn't white. I didn't see a tunnel. It was just a feeling, an utterly tangible feeling of absolute peace and fulfillment. Later, as I regained consciousness in the hospital, I felt as if I had woken from the best nap ever. After getting a few tests done and telling my story to doctors, they really didn't have a straight explanation for what happened to me. Here are some facts that I think attributed to my seizure. I was dehydrated, I had been drinking and smoking all day. And I was also taking antidepressants at the time. I don't believe in heaven. I don't believe in hell. I do believe in a higher power. I do have faith. But I don't really believe this experience proved or disproved those beliefs, for the record. That was by Pancakes for Briner. Okay. Well, I don't know. What do you... doesn't believe that these events were important in terms of their worldview, but what did it mean then? You said a new stream of consciousness. Well, that's probably the next stream of consciousness. Just my understanding. But anyway, number 15, a nice long nap. Those are always good. I was in a coma after a serious car accident, something near the end of it. I was legally dead for around 2 minutes. Everyone kept asking me what it was like, and I always just say that it was indistinguishable from sleeping. I have no memory of it, but I remember segments of the coma as a whole, and the period of death was no different than any other moment of it. I remember something where it felt like everything was slow, and I sort of associate that with the moment, but my memory is so foggy and the whole subject that I'm starting to believe my mind might have convinced myself that actually happened when it really didn't. The whole experience has made me pretty much unafraid of death, and I sort of appreciate it for that. The thing you have to realize is, at the end of the day, dying is just like a long nap. And man, do I like to nap. That was by Apple Pasta. Yeah, I guess the eternal rest, right? That's, rest in peace. That's a rest. Deja Vu is number 16. Just checking things. Am I missing anything? Okay. I had a near-death experience in which I was ejected from an automobile. Oh, my God. When I regained consciousness, a man came to me and said everyone survived. The man was there before any paramedics arrived, and the craziest part of it was that looking at that man gave me the most powerful sensation of deja vu ever. Maybe I hit my head too hard, but it was an insane experience. It was as if I had seen that man before. That was by Almurk. Almurk. Wow. Maybe it's a guardian. Maybe it's a guide. Maybe it's something like that. And that might attribute it to the familiarity. Very cool. Number 17 is real short. The only thing she remembers. My mom's heart stopped during surgery, and she said the only thing she remembers is being in a field of flowers. Wow, that's cool. Wonder how long it stopped for. That was by Stone Zombie 420. Boom. Wow, wow, wow. Number 18, another short one. My most peaceful moment. My former football coach had a heart attack on the field and was dead for 15 minutes. We were talking to him and somebody finally asked what it was like to be dead, and he replied with saying that he remembers a whole lot of nothing. He didn't have amnesia or anything. There was nothing around. He did say it was the most peaceful moment of his life. Going off this, I kind of think it's like Inception, where you build a world that you want to inhabit. Maybe. Matt Hope or Hop 1. Hoppe 1. You could be right. Number 19, The Big Empty. Oh, geez. Never mind. Let me rephrase the whole first part of this, because I don't like to glamorize this in any way, but took myself out with my dog's leash almost a year ago. All I remember is letting go of the leash since I was holding onto it and just hanging there for a minute. It wasn't enough of a shock like stepping off a chair, so I was suffocating and time just seemed to slow down. I felt my heartbeat in my arms and legs, and I felt it start to fade, and I remember what I've come to call the big empty in my therapy groups as just the plain nothingness. It's hard to describe, and some people in this thread have managed it quite well, but my description would be a void. There's no darkness, there's no you, there's nothing. It's just such a complete lack of anything at all that it can't be described as empty, because that would imply it could be filled with something. It's hard to even realize that it exists because you can't even really perceive it. A near-death experience like mine, I think, is like peering at the void but not going in. Just enough life left to know that it's there, and then not enough death to be engulfed and completely extinguished by it. My nosy neighbor apparently witnessed me through the window, broke said window, and cut me down within 10 minutes. I was out for like 3 days afterwards, but I've since fully recovered and finished my inpatient and outpatient program at the Youth Services Bureau and have completely turned my life around. The fear of the big empty still haunts me, knowing that I will have to face it again one day and lose. So that was by Sin_Justicia. Justicia. Okay. That's sad, though. I mean, again, if anybody's out there, and especially in the holiday season, I know it's a double tough time if you feel like you're alone or whatever, but just if you're feeling empty and you need someone to talk to, reach out. Let somebody help you. Let somebody help you. There's lots of hotlines. There's lots of resources. There's lots of people that care for you. And let people help you. Let them help you. Number 20, a hallway leading to a door. I think this, let's see, what time is it? Yeah, this might be the last of these. My aunt had an experience like this when she was 18. She always suffered of chronic seizures that made her pass out. One day she had one while no one was around, and she was later found by my grandmother. The doctors luckily arrived in time to resuscitate her. She explained that she was in the brightest, most peaceful hallway. She wandered aimlessly through it until she found a massive door closed on one end. She told my grandmother that she tried as hard as she could to open the door, tapping, slamming, even kicking it would not allow the doors to break free. She looked back to see the back of the corridor gone, replaced with an emergency room. She was lying on a stretcher while multiple doctors and nurses were frantically working to revive her. She gave up on the door, turned around, and led for the surgery room. She inevitably reached the room and re-entered her body. She passed away at the age of 42 about 9 months ago, heart failure after multiple seizures, but she left behind 2 young daughters and a husband. We like to think that the doors finally opened for her. And whoever had written that, they deleted their name. Aw. There's one more here. Just the title kind of grabbed me, so I thought, deformed and screaming. That sounds terrifying. Well, let's read this one. 21, deformed and screaming. Growing up, my father used to tell me of an experience he had while having open heart surgery. The doctors had to stop his heart for about 20 or 30 minutes while they inserted a mechanical valve into his heart. At that time, he was in his early 20s and involved in a lot of bad activity, and he says he is ashamed of now. Anyway, while my dad was quote-unquote dead, he said he was in a very dark place, and as he wandered around, he started running into very scary people who were deformed and screaming at him. He ran for his life into a corner and hid, and just before the people got to him, he looked up and saw his deceased grandmother reach her hand down and grab him. The next thing my dad remembered, he was back in the hospital. He's convinced he was temporarily in hell. I don't know if this is just a dream state or something, but I've never seen my dad so convinced in his life. It was enough for him to turn his life around and turn to religion, and more importantly, come back to his family that he had left behind. That was by Tyler Black, 729. Well, that's good. I mean, it's certainly a horrifying possibility of seeing those kind of things. But if it led to him actually changing his life and turning it all around and fixing it, that's pretty incredible. That is very incredible. What am I missing? Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Just checking the chat. Did I miss anything? My Christmas will be solitary, but Boxing Day I'll be with friends. My sister doesn't have me over for the holidays. Aw, well, you're welcome to come here, Rachel. You can come have some portal dinner. You might not want to be. Hey, Merry Christmas, Jess. Good to see you. You might never take an invitation again, but I'm not much of a cook, but I'm gonna be cooking. I'm gonna be cooking on Christmas, so hopefully it turns out good. I don't know. I can cook some things. But yeah. Hello, paranormal investigators from the UK. What? Are new to your channel? Great show. Thanks, Spirit Brothers UK. Great to see you. Happy holidays to you guys, and thank you for stopping in. We're doing a little passive investigating ourselves right over here. As you can see, just some low-level detection going on. If anything stops in, maybe we'll see it. It's happened before on the show, guys. We've had some pretty incredible communication here and there during the shows, but so far it's been real quiet tonight. The only thing that happened was the yes-no pyramid did say no when I asked at the beginning of the show if everybody's ready for the holidays. It went red no. So kind of cool. But it's great to meet you guys. Thank you. Are your Christmas cards late? I didn't get your Christmas card. Yeah, I did not. I didn't go down to the post office for the last couple days though. So if you guys sent anything, I haven't seen it yet. But it's okay. It's not like you have to, but it's always fun to go open the P.O. box and look. So yeah, Deformed and Screaming. I guess we'll read 22. Then we'll leave the rest of them for, I guess, Wednesday. 22 at 0. When I was 12, I drowned in the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, God. I was out pretty far from my family, and the current picked up into a rip. And I always been a very strong swimmer, and I knew what to do, swim parallel. And on this occasion, I wore myself out and started to sink beneath the water. I remember struggling to breathe, and then I took a big breath of water, and everything stopped. The only way I can describe it is by saying it was being at zero. I wasn't scared or excited. I was just zero. I was looking through the water and I blacked out. And during that time, my mom was swimming out to me. She'd been a surfer her whole life and pulled me to shore and gave me CPR until I coughed up the water. There was something eerily comforting about being at zero. That was by Magdidimus James. Magdidimus James. Okay. Well, I tell you what, I have almost drowned, and I can tell you that for me it started out really frantic, but I kind of understand what this person is saying about being at zero, because when I first jumped in, it was panic because I just forgot how to swim. I just didn't know, and I was fighting to get to the surface, and I got sucked a little air and ended up going back under, freaking out, and fighting to get back up, and this franticness was really tough. And I got up the second time, and I grabbed a little air, but not much, and then I got down again, and I'm still fighting, and during the time, Mom is in the boat with my brothers, and they're desperately trying to get me out. But I don't know if when I jumped, I pushed the boat away. Like I jumped out and the boat went that way and I went this way. So there was more distance that they had to cover. But the third time that I was trying to fight my way up, it was like there got to be this point where it was almost like I started watching a movie of someone not swimming really well. And it was like I was watching someone else's experience. And maybe it's that point where you just start to kind of merge out, or, you kind of split from your physical body because, it's not going real well. But it just got kind of this, I wouldn't say it was peaceful, but it was just more like, it seemed like, what am I doing here? What's going on? Like, like I was watching someone else have this experience rather than it being my experience. And then it was the next thing I remember, my mom was hoisting me out of the water, and I was hacking up a bunch of Mississippi silt. So it does seem like a violent thing, but it is weird how quickly it happens. I mean, having experienced that, it was only a matter of moments, I guess, but it kind of felt long and it kind of felt short at the same time. Ooh, give us a pound. Thank you. Appreciate it, Spirit Brothers. Thank you very much, man. We appreciate it a lot. But yeah, it's a crazy feeling. Now, can I say that that's for sure what this person experienced? No, but it's the relatable experience that I have, that I can kind of say, well, maybe that's a good way of saying kind of what I was experiencing. I was getting to zero because it went from 0 to frantic as hell. I was already nervous because I just felt like I didn't want to swim, but all the goading of my brothers, and I was a little minnow. I was always swimming, but there's something about this day I just knew I shouldn't swim. And as soon as I hit the water, it was like the knowledge of swimming was gone from my head. It was just gone. I didn't know how to swim suddenly. And yeah, it was very strange. So I don't know, make of it what you will, but that was my experience. Okay. I think at this point we're going to move on to some cryptids because the show is cruising fast. Again, nothing's been happening over there. Got the flashlight set up, got the cat ball set up, got the yes/no detector, the K2, the REM pod. It's been largely really quiet. Nobody's here with us tonight. Nobody wants to wish anybody a Merry Christmas. Wouldn't it shit if it all just went off now? Sorry, I just cussed. Oops. Wouldn't you just freak? Yeah. Portal Mom was here earlier. I'm sure she's still here. She sometimes will come in at the beginning, chat, and then just kind of sit back and listen. She's out there listening. Video of someone tied up being thrown over the water that showed up on my feed today. Oh, that's horrible. Some drug thing. I don't know how it passed by the watchdogs. Yeah, that's terrible. There's some vile, vile people in this world, and there's a lot of people that seem to have no regard for the sanctity of life. Like it's sacred. Life is sacred. And it's very, very weird. Very, very weird. But yeah. Anyway, Merry Christmas to all you spirits. Hope you have a wonderful holiday, however you guys celebrate. But yeah, we'll keep it going. We'll keep that up on, if something pops off, it pops off. We'll also have the Ghost Radar to the Spirit Brothers. In case you didn't see this, this is it's 15 years old maybe. Ghost detector uses the magnetometer on the wireless to detect EMF anomalies. And so that's on as well. So between the two methodologies, all these equipment on the table and the Ghost Radar, maybe we'll get something popping off. We'll see. I don't know. Just we do it sometimes passively here on the shows. And sometimes we've had some incredible responses, and sometimes it's been real flat, like tonight has been incredibly flat and unremarkable as far as the activity goes. Yeah, there's Mom. Yep. She's out there. Wait, didn't she say something? I'm looking. Oh, yeah, there she is. Yeah, she's just listening. She just likes to relax and listen. So we're going to go to some cryptids and talk about some creatures and cryptids and such. There's one that I've been going to read to you. But the first one, I think we're going to do a Sasquatch one. I don't know if I want to read this one or not. I don't like these stories. There's these stories that are out there. And I think I don't like them because I really don't want them to be real. but it talks about special forces going on these Sasquatch hunts. And I don't like them because, again, I don't know. I guess we don't know how many of these things are out there. But by and large, they seem to really actively avoid people. And if they do see people, it's just more benign, like, oh, let's go. People are here. That kind of thing. Generally speaking, Sasquatch don't seem to go out of their way to hurt people, because if they did, there'd be a hell of a lot more missing people. Not saying it never happens. I don't pretend to know. But it does seem like they err on our absence. They prefer our absence more than anything, and they aim to live that life in our absence. And why not let them do that? So it bothers me when I hear stories of these highly trained, well-equipped soldier units going out and mowing them down. It just seems like such a horrible tragedy to me. Because how many are there? Are we sure that there's enough out there that we can just casually go out with highly trained warriors and start cutting them down? Is that the best answer? So that stuff bothers me. But anyway, this is the first story tonight. It's from Phantoms and Monsters, Lon Strickler's site. Wonderful site. Check it out. There's tons of encounter stories and cryptid stories over there. We investigated Ancient Ram Inn. Oh yeah, sure, I know that, guys. Yeah, definitely encountered a succubus. Not sure I spelled that correctly. That's crazy. There's been one rumored to be over there for ages. So love to hear what you encountered sometime. You'll have to tell me. Actually, if you'd like to be on the show, guys, and share your experiences, come over to paranormalportal.net, and I would love to have you as a guest on the podcast to share your experiences while investigating. That'd be awesome. So paranormalportal.net, and look for the button that says interview me. It'll open a calendar app, and you can look at days and times, see if something works that you guys can connect with me, and we'll do a podcast episode for sure, Spirit Brothers. That'd be fun. All right. Yeah. Yes. People want to destroy what they fear. Exactly. It bothers me too, Marcus. Yeah. Amen. So, but Lon also has a podcast. It's Phantoms and Monsters Radio. And he has a YouTube channel that features his podcast, which is, again, Phantoms and Monsters Radio right here on YouTube. So check it out. And a lot of his podcast episodes are Lon going through a lot of these articles and discussing them. And I think that's awesome. And an awesome opportunity, because he's the guy that actually talked to the experiencers, because he vets these. And that's a great opportunity to get the inside track on these stories. So here it is. U.S. Army Infantry veteran confirms Sasquatch hunts by Special Forces. Ugh, I don't like that. A U.S. Army team leader was involved in training exercises at JBLM, Washington during one incident. His team stumbled upon a Delta Force squad who had just killed 2 Sasquatch. I recently received the following account. I'm a 22-year U.S. Army veteran. My specialty is infantry scout for some of my service, and I attended one station unit training at Fort Benning, Georgia, and was taught scout skills. I was deployed to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Bosnia, and Kosovo. At the time of this incident, I was based at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It was in 1996, and we were going to be part of a joint training exercise at Fort Lewis, Washington. We had been there for a few weeks and were involved with various tasks, including posing as terrorists in multiple exercises. Oh, very cool. Thank you again, guys. Appreciate it. One night, on the night of the incident, I decided that, including posing as terrorists on multiple occasions. On one night on the incident, I decided that our OP4 team should get a few hours of rest before we would go on the mission. We parked the Humvee as close as possible to the hill that I thought would be best to keep us from being noticed, and climbed up the hilltop for the next day's mission. We were planning an attack on or about 5 a.m. My guard shift started at midnight. Well, not long after the shift began, we were woken up by live small arms fire. Everyone involved in this training exercise carried blanks, and all had red blank adapters attached to the end of their muzzle. There's a very distinct difference in the sound between live rounds and blank rounds. The firing was about 350 to 400 meters from our location on the opposite side of the hill. According to the war map, no unit was to be there. Within moments of the firing starting, there was a very loud roar. I had previously heard a lion's roar, and this was much louder. You could feel it. The guys and I were scared. The weapons fire lasted 30 seconds. Two of my soldiers were about to run down the hill to see what was going on. I had to stop them. We gathered our M16s and night vision goggles and cautiously proceeded down the hill, going from tree to tree to hide. There were a few bright flashlights we could see as we approached. One of my team was on the radio when suddenly another soldier shouted out movement up on the hill. We got caught and were told to reveal ourselves and approach. That's when we saw the opposing squad in front of us. Laying in front of the squad were two Sasquatch. The male was obviously dead and the female was breathing heavily, spitting out and choking on her own blood. The squad took our weapons and night vision goggles, and the one talking identified himself only as Captain. He was talking loudly and was upset that we were there. Much of what was said at first didn't register with us because we're looking at two Sasquatch. The male was sprawled on his back, and the female soon succumbed to her wounds and stopped breathing. My team and I were in shock at what we were seeing. The captain, who was talking to me, got right into my face to get my attention. I noticed an awful odor coming from the creatures. Once that shock wore off, I took a real close look at these men in the opposing squad, and their equipment and weapons were not standard issue. I soon realized that they were Delta Force because of the helmets they were wearing. About 5 minutes later, a colonel came up and gave us a butt chewing, and we were moved down the hill, but before that, the Delta Force was prepping the Squatch for extraction. A Black Hawk Kilo came in low and hovered above. We later traveled for about 2 hours until we arrived at a location and were ushered into a room where we waited for over an hour. The colonel and other military officers, including the Delta Force captain, came in, gave us direct orders not to speak of this matter, and that if it was discovered that if we did, we'd be facing UCMJ disciplinary action. Well, they really put the fear of God in us, and we were told that our battalion commander was informed of us interfering with their training mission, and we were to return to TOC after we were debriefed. Since I was the only NCO of the group, I was threatened with having my career ruined if I ever spoke of this again. Sometime later, we were loaded up into a 5-ton truck under guard and driven back to the hill where all of this took place. We were allowed to gather up our stuff from the hilltop and followed to the TOC's current location. The truck following us just continued moving on down the road. We were given another butt chewing by our battalion commander. That incident has eaten at me all these many years since it occurred. I wanted to climb the roof of my house and shout it out loud, but the fear of reprisal from the army or the government has kept me from doing so. I kept thinking that some government man was listening to podcasts to see if any military or government affiliate had ever came on the shows and spilled the beans about what goes on. I don't know why those Sasquatch were hunted and killed. I just remember her labored breathing and seeing tears rolling down her face as she died. Several things are also not included in this letter to you because it would be a book, more or less. I just wanted to state the most important things about this incident. I just needed to get it out in the open to set myself free from this. It's been 28 years, and whatever happens, well, it happens. And Lon says, I held back from posting this account until I received further information from the witness. After talking to him, I'm satisfied that his recollection was factual. In the past, several individuals associated with the military have disputed these claims of special forces hunting down Sasquatch, especially at Joint Base Lewis McChord. Nonetheless, I feel that after hearing and reading a fair number of these incidents, the U.S. and Canadian military are actively involved with these missions. That's from Lon. That's just a tearjerker. Wow. Because they're there? Is that why? Just because they're there? or is there some other fear going on with these? Is there some other reason they would want them gone? I mean, if it's a mating pair, then leave them be. Again, do I know? Nah, I don't know. Could just be fluff, but I do like the fact that Lon vets these and looks into them, and I know that's by and large, I think Lon does a good job. So if he says he thinks it's real, then I got to give it a little more weight than I might otherwise. I just don't know how they could be just caught. They just seem so far ahead of us in the physical realm and in adaptation to their environment. I realize we have weapons, we have technologies, but how do you catch them? And are they even really here all the time? We don't know. But whatever. I just think it's a tragedy if it's happening. It's a horrible, horrible tragedy. I did want to read. I just got to look at the size of these. This one's kind of curious. Any of you out there play the Witcher game? Have you guys played the Witcher game or watched the Witcher series on Netflix with the Superman guy? I've watched the Netflix series and I've never played the games, but I've watched the Netflix series and I think he does a good job. What's his name again? Oh, Henry Cavill, yeah, Henry Cavill. And he plays the hell out of the character, and unfortunately he's going to be not playing the character pretty soon, or not now, or whatever. They're changing leads on it for whatever reason. But, I didn't know anything about the Witchers, the whole legend of the Witchers, other than that show. I didn't know there was any precedence for there being a folklorish angle to them. I just had never heard of that. But apparently there might be, folks, because here we have an article from Phantoms and Monsters, Pulse of the Paranormal from December 7th. Did Swiss Army Company encounter a Witcher in the remote Alps? So I don't know if this is the same Witcher that the games are based off of and that storylines are based off of, or what, but let's see what it says. I just don't know. Maybe Witcher has a whole host of different meanings than what is popular culture here, but let's see. A Swiss Army company was in the Alps installing a radio antenna. A woman mysteriously shows up in the cold, remote area who is not dressed for the frigid weather, though she seems unaffected. This happened while I was doing my army service in Switzerland, in the Alps, and I'm not allowed to talk about what we were doing, but I'll try to keep things clear. My company had installed a huge antenna and had it to be guarded by two soldiers, day and night. We're on the top of a hill, far away from any city, and near a huge forest. It was 1800 hours. Is that what that means? And I just started my watch for 6 hours with another soldier. Everything went fine. We smoked cigarettes, kept to ourselves, occupied until our watch ended at midnight. And then we received a call from our superior, and he told us that one of the soldiers that was supposed to take the watch couldn't come, and one of us had to stay for another watch of 6 hours. We tossed a coin to know who would stay from midnight till 6 in the morning with temperatures of negative 20 Celsius degrees. Of course, I lost, and I had to wait for the other soldier to come and join me for the night watch. They sent another soldier, but not the best, because I knew he would sleep all night when I saw him climbing the hill with his sleeping bag. And that's what he did. He immediately took place in the tent and fell asleep. It was the coldest and longest night of my life, but nothing special about it. The weird part happened in the morning. We received another call from our superior, and he told us we had an NBC exercise. It means that we have to wear all day long our anti-chemical suit. Don't know the English word for it. The one with the gas mask and everything that goes with it. I was really upset, exhausted because I wasn't able to sleep with that thing on, and sleep was my only reward for that 12-hour watch. Well, I got out of the tent, and this is where I saw something that still scares me to this day. There was a woman standing next to the antenna, and she wasn't moving. She was just standing there, 5 meters from the tent, and I couldn't see her face because the... Well, there's two of them by me for a moment, right behind me on this side. Two. I wasn't able to sleep the 5 meters from the tent. Couldn't see her face because the sun was starting to rise behind her. I knew she was a woman because she had really long hair and she had curves. Remember, we're in the middle of nowhere, and this lady was standing there, not moving, like she was frozen. I started to freak out, and I called the other guy to show him what I was looking at. And I don't know, but he wasn't scared at all, and he told me to... and he told her to leave because she wasn't allowed to be there. But she didn't make a move. She just stood there looking at us, or at least in our direction. I was so confused about how a woman could ignore two soldiers telling her to leave a forbidden area. I mean, we are in Switzerland. The army is not that impressive, I know, but people usually don't do this kind of thing. They would just move away, especially if it's 6 a.m. And what was she doing in the middle of nowhere? Obviously not dressed for this cold weather. How long was she been standing there? And how did she end up there? I didn't hear any footsteps, so many questions went through my mind at the moment. The other soldier didn't think twice and started walking towards her. When he almost reached her, she started running very fast. She ran directly into the forest. I saw her getting deep down into the forest, and she disappeared from our sight. I'm really a rational thinker. I question everything, and I think there is always an explanation. For me, the explanation is that she was simply a jogger because of the way she ran into the forest. But almost 3 minutes had passed between the first time I saw her and the moment she started running away. 3 minutes of not moving at all, looking at me, dressed in something really tight in negative 20 degrees in the middle of nowhere. Thank God there was someone with me because nobody would have believed me. And Lon says, I looked into the Swiss and German mythology and legends and believe that if this was a supernatural being, the best bet is that it's either an elf or a witcher. Okay, again, I didn't know there was witchers. The description is more indicative of a witcher. According to the legends, these beings, male and female, have been reported throughout the Alps for centuries. Wow. Could you imagine? That'd be an incredible moment. A witcher. I'm going to have to look up witchers, folks, because I had no idea. But I'm definitely intrigued. I guess I should have figured that it would be based on something, but I don't know. You think of things like Jedi. Well, I don't think there's a real world Jedi example, so I kind of attributed it as another thing like that. But apparently there's more to it. I got to look this up. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Exactly. Witchers. Yeah, I'd never heard of that before. And again, I don't pretend to be Mr. Worldly Paranormal. I just find all this stuff absolutely fascinating, and I do try to learn as much as I can, but it's crazy the amount of things you'd have to learn. This one's interesting to me. I haven't looked at it, but this one has to do with vampires. Now, again, I'll say it. I've done many shows trying to deal with vampires, but researching, I've always only come up with the counterculture, the goth movement where they put on fangs and drink blood. And then I've come up with these old world examples of 1800s and 1700s villages dealing with what may be the rising dead that coming up and haunting and feasting on the living. Nothing really real world, current age at all. And it's frustrated me because I'd love to do a show about that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until, again, I think it was season 2 or 3, where we had Paul come on the show, and he was the person that had what he believes is a real visitation by a vampire. And in talking with him, I got to admit, it sounds like he saw a vampire. And you'll have to listen to the podcast to get the whole story. But it's a great show. It's one of those, it's so rare to get a story like that. So I was really surprised that he reached out to me, but I'm glad he did. I can't remember what it's called, Ode to the Vampire or something like that. But anyway, this one is eating dinner among vampires in Sacramento. It says a couple's having dinner in Sacramento restaurant when they are interrupted by a pale, deathly looking man. Then they notice an employee that has unusual fangs. I received the following account. I met this girl on the internet and I invited her down to Sacramento, California to have some dinner. And we were seated at this small round table, kind of facing each other. And all of a sudden this arm reached over my shoulder to grab my water glass. This guy's arm was so white. It looked like it had the blood drained out of it. I mean, it was shocking. I could tell by the look on her face that she could see the guy and that it was something. So when he walked around to the other side to get her water glass, I could see this guy. It wasn't just he looked pale, but he looked like he was dead. No, it looked like he was drained totally of his blood. After he walked away, we said, "Whoa, did you see that?" We were kind of talking about it like that. We got to talking about other things while we were eating our dinner. The maitre d' that had seated us was leaning against the bar about 15 feet away from me, waiting for a customer to come in, and he didn't know I was looking at him, I don't think, from the side, and all of a sudden, he just kind of raised his lips for a second, and I clearly saw fangs. And then maybe half a minute, 4 to 5 seconds later, he saw a customer come in the door, and he smiled to greet him, and clearly, there were no fangs there. I know what I saw. I clearly saw fangs on him. And then the next second, they weren't. Couple that with the guy who looked like he had all of his blood drained out of him, and that was very scary. The girl I was with also noticed odd things occurring as well. We finished our dinner as quickly as possible. We felt so uneasy about walking back to my place that night, even though I lived only 2 blocks away. I hailed a cab. Just a note, there was a bizarre unexplained death reported at that same restaurant 3 weeks later. I wonder if it's somehow related. Yikes. So again, could there be groups of these quote unquote vampires that are existing in our world? Maybe. As a shadow culture, kind of like the Underworld series. I don't know why not. Or the Blade series or whatever. I mean, there's so many references in our popular media of these groups of like vampires that they're here. They just kind of here in the shadows, living in the darkness, and subsisting just fine off of our waste, or I don't know. Maybe they disappear people once in a while. I don't know. It's creepy stuff though. But yeah, if any of you guys find stories of actual vampire encounters, I would love for you to forward them to me, because it's a tough one to find. I've looked and looked and looked and looked. And there's a bunch of the really historical mentions from the old world over in old Europe. There's plenty of the new counterculture or newer counterculture of the basically the goth movement, where people pretend that they're vampires, but I don't know, folks. I don't know what we got time for here. I might just end up reading a couple more of these, because we are getting low on time with literally only about 8 minutes left. Okay. So special thanks again to Lon Strickler for letting us peruse some of those articles here on the show. That's great stuff. And I can't encourage you enough to go check out phantomsandmonsters.com, because that's where the magic happens. All right. In lieu of the being short time before the end of the show, unfortunately, we're just running out of space for much more. I'll just read a couple more of these near-death experiences from the Thought Catalog article, and we'll get where we get. A few from the New Orleans. Yeah, New Orleans is a place that I've heard there's some there. I don't know about Old Italy. That would be cool to find some of those. But I've looked. I've looked. I have no doubt that they're out there. I really believe they're out there, but I think as reluctant as a lot of people are to just talk about ghosts or Bigfoot, and those are probably and UFOs. Those are really pretty normal conversations anymore to some degree, but still people are reluctant. How much more reluctant will people be to talk about, I swear I saw a vampire? I swear I saw it. I could swear this is a vampire I was talking to. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be probably a little while before people are really comfortable coming out and letting. I mean, if you look at even like the BFRO, it's been around forever. And even now, you'll find new reports on there that were from the 60s and the 70s. Like, people have carried these stories for generations. And they finally are like, oh, I'm glad I can kind of come out and say this now and talk about my experience. So they're not easy to find wherever they are. So it looked like someone snapped their fingers, number 23. My friend went hiking with his family, and he fell a few feet off of a cliff we were climbing, and he hit the back of his head on a rock. Well, they called an ambulance, and when they finally arrived at the hospital, he was pronounced dead. He had no heartbeat or any brain waves. They were already unplugging everything and moving on with all the paperwork when suddenly he woke up, and the nurse screamed, "He's awake!" And then chaos ensued all over. He was dead for about 7 minutes, and he said the entire time he was laying down, fully conscious in a really dark room. He calls it a room, but doesn't really know. He said he couldn't tell how long it was, but that suddenly he heard a sound like as if someone snapped their fingers next to his ear, and then he woke up in the hospital. The experience didn't make him religious either. And that was by Valathiel. Okay, well, very cool. Number 24, given a choice twice. Can I speak for my godfather here? He went into heart surgery to have a triple bypass done and died on the operating table, classic flatline, like you see in the movies. And he told us that he went into the next life twice. And both times he was given the choice to either stay with the living or come to heaven. Both times he said, "I'll stay." And once he got back, which whenever he told the story, he insisted that it was very real. It wasn't his brain dying. He really went somewhere. He lived for about 30 years after that. That was by Bronxy. Wow. That's crazy. Twice he was given the choice. You can either just, stay with the living or you can come to heaven. What would you do? What would you pick? I mean, I'd choose to stay here. I'm not done yet. I got a lot more to do before my journey's over, but there'd be a big part of me that would want to stay. It's like, gee, be happy all the time, every day, for the rest of ever. Or you can come back to this. I don't know. It's okay. This is pretty great too. I don't mean to cast aspersions at being alive. It's a good run, but it would be easy to just be like, I could be all done with all this stuff. Wow. I I think I might like that. I think I might like it a lot. But you just never know, I guess. You just never know. Good God. Well, know what I do know? I know we made the journey, folks. I know that this is the last show before Christmas, the last live show before the holidays, however you're celebrating. I do want to make sure you guys know that this has absolutely been an honor for me doing these portals and having you all be part of my journey as we go. And I can't thank you enough for the kindness, for the love, for the support, for the encouragement, for the help that you guys have given to keep pushing my dream forward. And so I just want to say and offer a real sincere, heartfelt thank you. Thank you for being part of this family and being a part of my world and making the portal a part of your world. And thank you for all that you do, letting new people find the show or helping them. Thank you for posting, for liking, for sharing, and just thanks for caring. I mean, I've really won the lottery in a major way in this show just because we don't have the hugest audience, but I would put you guys up against any other show and say that I have the greatest followers ever, the greatest fans, the greatest listeners. And thank you so much for that. And you guys are helping me to realize this dream. And I'm very, very blessed. So I just wanted to take a moment to say that to you guys because I couldn't be more sincere in meaning it. So thank you for all of that. And as always, I'll be back, I think on Wednesday with Don, and we'll do it again. So I hope you guys will join us at that point. But we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And keep spreading the word. Keep letting people know. This has been an incredible journey, and I can't wait to see where we're going to go in 24. But until next time, folks, that's going to wrap up our journey here tonight. So thank you. Have a wonderful holiday, however you're celebrating. And if you're alone, just know that you're in my heart, and so you're never alone. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us here. Until Wednesday, I hope it's a wonderful, wonderful time. That's it. That's all I got. So take care, everybody. Love you guys. Merry Christmas.